Hello, friends and well-wishers, and welcome back to another episode of A Quarter Ton of Fun. It's your buddy Ryan, aka The Champ, and today we're going to talk about what it's like to be obese in the online realm, and some of my pet peeves, some of the things that people post or say about fat people, about the morbidly obese online that I just don't like. Before we get into that, I should mention that last week in my episode, I completely forgot to do weekly weigh-in. Now, I had weighed in, I had planned on it, but I just simply forgot until I was all done shooting and was editing the video together, and I didn't feel like going back and making a change, so I figured I'd just update you this week. And only one of you seemed to notice. Janet, thank you for noticing and asking. Now, 2 weeks ago, I was at 505. Last week when I weighed in, even though I didn't get to tell you guys this, I was at 503. I had lost the 2 pounds that I'm looking for every week. Happy with that. This week I weighed in at 502. So only a 1 pound weight loss this week, but that's okay. I'm still happy to see the scale going down again. And I've been having some scale troubles. For a while, it was giving me some wildly different readings. I would step on and it would say one thing, I would step on again, it would say something completely different. We're talking about like 12 and 13 pound swings when I would step on and off. I recalibrated it, went to their website and looked at how to do that exactly, and I think it's going to be more accurate now. It seems to be giving me the same thing now. I stepped on 3 times this morning and it was 502 each time, so hopefully that's right and I'm not misleading myself, but I know I've done fairly well the last couple of weeks with eating, and I've added in some new exercise. We'll talk about that a little later on. Okay, before we get too far into today's episode, I'd like to remind you guys that you can interact with me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram at A Quarter Ton of Fun. I post little videos, peeks at my food that I've been eating, little funny stuff now and then, so check it out. And also, today, I want you to post down below and let me know what is the worst interaction you've had online dealing with your weight, or if you're not someone who's overweight, what's just the worst interaction you've had online with someone? Someone attacking you, someone being mean to you, someone stalking you, whatever it is, let me know about it in the comments. I'm curious to see what that could be. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Hit that red subscribe button. Click the white bell next to it. It's going to tell you every time that I put out a new video every Tuesday. And of course, click that thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. It helps the channel out the more engagement we get. So clicky, 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 clicky. Clicky, clicky. So what's it like to be a fat person in the online world? Now, one good aspect of it is you can keep your anonymity if you choose to do so. You can choose to not post your pictures, not talk about your weight, not let anyone know that you're overweight. And in some areas I have done that. But in others, I've been open and honest, like having a channel like this, showing people myself, talking about how fat I am, giving my weight every week. And on this channel, I've been very lucky as far as comments go. I have not really had any trolling or mean comments posted. And that's partly because most of my audience is people that know me, like me, or people who I have engaged with online in message boards and online groups about weight loss and morbid obesity and exercise. People who can usually relate to having some sort of weight struggle. And so they're coming here to interact with that and not to attack me. You usually get more attacks from just random trolls, nasty people like that. My cousin Joel and I, at one time, had a sketch comedy show that we put on YouTube. We did sketch comedy, we did podcasts, different things like that. We were called the Mud Puppets. And in that, we got some mean comments about my weight, a few here and there. It was never really as much as I had anticipated. I thought, for the amount of comments we got, I thought there would be more people making fun of me for being fat, and it really wasn't that much. So overall, I would say I've been kind of lucky in the online realm compared to a lot of other people, because it's not just my experiences I want to talk about, but the overall online experience is tough these days, and I think it's especially tough for fat kids. I was a fat kid, and I was made fun of a lot. School, sometimes, especially elementary school, could be a living hell at times because kids would make fun of you. And me being a nervous person, even as a kid, and really being upset by things like that, it would put me on edge. And especially if there was some new incident had happened, I had been mocked at school for it or whatever, or a bully had chosen to target me, I would be very upset and very nervous for days or weeks on end. And I would dread going to school sometimes for that reason because I didn't want to be made fun of. And I was so non-confrontational that I just couldn't bring myself to stand up to a bully who was making fun of me. And so I sort of developed a personality in two different prongs. One, early on, was as a kid, was to try to blend into the background, to not be seen, to not be heard, because if they didn't notice you, maybe they wouldn't make fun of you. And the other was to try to develop a sense of humor, because if they were laughing with you, maybe they weren't laughing at you. And kids these days have it so much harder, even than I did, because now you come home and there's Facebook, there's Twitter, there's YouTube, there's Instagram, there's TikTok, there's Snapchat, there's Weefle Waffle, there's Honeygram. I may have made a few of those up. And there's all these ways for people to mock you, to access you away from school. And kids have to deal with a lot of crap with that. And I feel for them because one of the great reliefs I had as a fat kid was coming home and being away from being mocked and the fear of being mocked. And that isn't necessarily there for the fat kids of today because they can have people, targeting them on social media, on YouTube, in the comments of the video games they play online and things like that. And that sucks. It's awful. And it's one of those problems. I don't know how to deal with it. People much smarter than me are going to have to figure that out. But as far as my own son, what I'm trying to teach him is empathy, to relate to people, not to mock people, and that it's okay that we're all different. There's fat kids, there's skinny kids, there's white kids, there's black kids, there's tall kids, there's short kids. We're all different, and it's okay if we're different. It doesn't mean someone's bad. It doesn't mean someone is, they're part of a group you have to make fun of. It's just we're all a little bit different, and it's okay. Next, I want to talk about online memes, and if you're over 45, you may not know what a meme is. A meme is just sort of a viral image that gets spread around the internet, and sometimes it's a joke, or sometimes it's an inspirational image or idea. And there's a lot of them dealing with fat people, and they sort of fall into two categories that annoy me. First are the ones that are meant as jokes. Let's take a look at a few. Okay, some of those are honestly kind of funny. Some of them are a little bit clever, the Forrest Gump one we just saw there, but they can be hurtful. And I do think if you're going to post jokes like those, think about the audience that you're posting them to. Think about the message it's sending and what you're telling your friends and family that you think about fat people. The other group of memes that gets me really mad, irrationally mad, I'll admit, is ones like this. So those three memes are all different, but they're essentially saying the same thing. Don't make fun of fat people at the gym because they're trying to improve themselves. And every time I see this posted, and I see this posted a lot, even by people who are fat, even on message boards and groups for morbidly obese people, it drives me nuts because my thought is always, why make fun of fat people at all? Don't just not make fun of us because we're in a gym. Just don't make fun of us. Why are we only deserving of respect or admiration if we're in a gym? If you see a fat person walking around, you don't know their life story. You don't know what they're doing to combat their weight. You don't know what deep-seated mental issues might have driven them to that weight. Why is it that the only time we're worthy of respect is if we're on a treadmill? I hate it. I absolutely hate that meme. And I know it's posted often with good intentions. It's meant as a way to say, hey, these people are improving their lives, don't make fun of them. But it drives me nuts. Would you say, hey, don't make fun of cancer patients if you go in the hospital and they're hooked up to chemotherapy, they're trying to improve themselves? Of course you wouldn't. That's stupid. And I know people are going to say, well, cancer and being fat aren't the same thing. Okay, I'm not equating the two of them completely. You're right. But let's face it, some people who have cancer are there because they smoke a lot, right? We know smoking's not good for you, just like eating junk food's not good for you. And some of the people that get cancer from that are in the hospital for it being treated. Would you say, hey, he's got lung cancer, but he's getting radiation, so don't make fun of him? No, of course you wouldn't, because you'd be a complete psychopath, an idiot, and you'd be called out for it. But you can say, hey, don't make fun of the fat person because they're on the Stairmaster for 5 minutes. It drives me insane. It pisses me off. Stop doing it. Don't post this stuff. Whew. Mercy. I got worked up. And the last area I want to look at here is mocking fat celebrities. And this comes in a number of forms. It might be, reality TV stars like Honey Boo Boo or her mom. It might be politicians like Donald Trump or Chris Christie. Anyone who's in the public eye and weighs more than society says they should is going to get mocked for it. That's just what happens. And I understand if it's someone you don't like or you don't respect, wanting to make fun of them, wanting to mock their personal appearance. But again, I want you to stop and think about the audience you're doing this to. And I have family and friends, including people who are very close to me, who do this often. And every time I see it, it bothers me. It hurts my feelings. Because if they're making fun of this person who they don't like for how fat and disgusting and gross and nasty they are, what do they think about me? Now, they may like me. They may love me. They may be one of my best friends or one of my closest family members. But when they post this stuff, it's kind of like a dagger to the heart every time. And it doesn't last long. It's just a fleeting thing. And I don't say anything about it. I scroll past it. I ignore it. But it hurts. Because what you're really doing isn't, the person you're talking to isn't going to see this. They're rich and famous and probably get 10,000 of these hateful comments every day. They don't care. But the fat people that you love and care about are seeing this. And it's hurting their self-esteem. And it's hurting their confidence. And it's making them wonder what you really think about them. And what thoughts like that you're having about them. So again, I'm not one to censor anyone's freedom of speech. Say what you want. It's fine. But stop a minute sometimes and think about your audience. Now, guys, I do have one non-scale victory to talk to you about this week. I have started going to a gym. I'm going to Planet Fitness with my sister Jenny, and I've been a couple of times so far. How did it go? Well, tune in next week because I'm going to do a whole episode talking about my first experiences in a gym. The internet has changed our lives in a myriad of ways. Kids these days don't really know what it's like to go into a video store to have to pick a movie to watch. They don't know what it's like to have to look up movie showtimes in the newspaper or get a map out and plan your route to get somewhere. And then when there's construction or a closed road, have no idea how to go about it. Because the internet has changed all those things for us in so many ways. And I think it's changed how we interact with each other and how we deal with each other. And one of those ways is how we represent our feelings about other groups of people to the world. And most people who are decent people that I know would not want to post things that make them seem racist or sexist or homophobic or closed-minded in any way. But some of those people are willing to post things mocking fat people and tearing us down. And I understand there's always going to be people who don't like fat people. That's just the reality of it. Go on Reddit, go on the internet, search around. You'll find groups dedicated to making fun of and hating fat people. That sucks. And it hurts fat people's feelings, even though we may not like to admit it. But what hurts most of all is when the people closest to us, our friends, our family, the support group that we depend on to keep our spirits high and keep a positive outlook and work towards being healthier people, when they post things that tell us we're not worthy of respect, that they think we're a bad, gross, nasty person because of our weight. So you don't have to change who you are, the way you interact online with people. But if you care at all about the way that the fat people in your life feel and the way they feel about you, maybe take a second and think about what you're posting before you do it. Because people who have empathy, people who care about other people and the way they feel, in my opinion, they are damn sexy.